Hello, I'm Linda, and this lesson is about a group called Extinction Rebellion. Have you heard of them? We're going to find out a bit more. Okay, so in this picture, what do you think is happening here? Where is it and why? Okay, it's a protest. It's in London, and the group Extinction Rebellion is protesting that the government is not doing enough about climate change. Okay, so this lesson includes vocabulary, reading, grammar, and writing. And here's another photograph of Extinction Rebellion members lying in the street to stop the traffic in one of their big protests, which disrupted a lot of life in London and continues to do so. Okay, so some questions first. I want you to think or make notes or discuss, if you can, these 6 questions. Pause the screen to give you time to do that. Okay. So the name is from extinction. Animals go extinct, plants go extinct when they no longer exist. This group is saying that humans will also go extinct if we don't do something about climate change soon. So they are rebelling. It's a rebellion against the government, who they don't see as doing enough. Let's find out more about the people in Extinction Rebellion and what they've done and what they could do. First, some vocabulary. So your task is to match the red words and phrases on the left with the purple word phrases definitions on the right. So pause and match. Okay, ready for the answers? Here are the answers. I'll go through the words and phrases. So we have tactics, climate emergency, social justice, vulnerable, activist, disruption, natural resources, indigenous, and fossil fuel. Okay. We're going to read an argument now. It's an argument between 2 men called Che and Mark, and they're talking about Extinction Rebellion. So we're going to skim first. There are 2 slides. I'm going to give you 1 minute, and you need to find out if both Che and Mark agree that Extinction Rebellion are doing the right things. Okay, ready? 2 slides. Next slide. Okay. Do they agree? No. This is an argument. 1 agrees and 1 doesn't agree. Okay, so we have a few more questions now. So I want you to read again. At this time, you have 4 true or false statements. Here are the statements. They're both worried about climate change. They're both members of Extinction Rebellion. Extinction Rebellion members like disruption, and people have been worried about climate change emergency for about 50 years. So I'll go back to the reading, and you can pause if you like this time to read in more detail. The first slide here. Okay, ready for the second one? Here. Okay. So, are they both very worried about climate change? True or false? Yeah, that's true. Are they both members of Extinction Rebellion? No. One is a member because he agrees with them and one is not. Do Extinction Rebellion members like disruption? That's false. That's their main tactic, disruption, but they don't like it. They just feel they have to do it to make people pay attention and change. People have been worried about the climate change emergency for about 50 years. Yes, that's true. But has enough been done? I want you to think now about what you think protesters can and should do, and what you think protesters shouldn't do. For example, shout. Should they shout? Can they shout? Or shouldn't they shout? I want you to put these things in a list. If you think they can and should shout, put that on the left. And put all the others in your list. Right or left, according to what you think. You can pause the screen while you do this. Okay. And we're going to write some sentences with modal verbs now. As you know, the modal verb comes before a main verb, and we have 3 columns on the screen. One is protesters, the subject who we're talking about. The second column is modal verbs, and the third is some continuations of the topic with other verbs to continue. So you can write lots of sentences from this. People disagree about whether protesters should or could or must or have to or shouldn't do those sort of activities. So it's up to you to decide what you feel is best. For example, you can say protesters should respect everyone. Okay? I want you to pause and write as many sentences as you can from these phrases on the screen. Okay? Okay, ready? So I hope the sentences you've written are things like protesters must respect everyone, protesters shouldn't break anything, protesters should climb up buildings or mustn't climb up buildings, protesters have to disrupt health services, or protesters mustn't disrupt health services. You have a lot of choices of sentences there. Okay. And your final task is to write a dialogue. Now imagine a police officer is talking to a member of Extinction Rebellion. The police officer has to say what the protesters can do, can't do, and shouldn't do. The Extinction Rebellion member believes very strongly that governments must act to stop climate change and is talking politely to the police officer before the protest. Okay, that's your dialogue to write. The follow-up is to read more about Extinction Rebellion. For example, in the eewiki.uint.org, if you put search in the top right, you can find out more. Read the easier English version and then the original. Okay, that's the lesson.